In this video, I'm going to do an unboxing of the brand new HP Chromebook 14, and the model number is 14-Q029WM. So let's get to it. Now, I'm really excited about this unboxing because I've given a lot of thought to what I want to use as my daily computer. And right now I'm using a Dell laptop, a business laptop, running Windows 7 as my daily computer. And it probably, I would say, maybe gets about 4 hours of battery life on it, which isn't bad, but I wanted to try out the new Haswell processors that offer much greater battery life. Now, I also wanted to do an experiment where I live exclusively in Chrome and see if I could do it. And I've had several Chromebooks in the past. I got a CR48 during the pilot program when Chrome OS was first launched, and I no longer have that. I actually gave that away. My second Chromebook was this Samsung Series 5 550, and at the time that I got it, it was the most powerful Chromebook on the market. I believe it has a 1.3 gigahertz processor in it, Celeron processor, so it's an Intel-based machine, and it has 4 gigs of RAM. But this Samsung Chromebook is a 12-inch model, and that's one of the main issues I had with Chrome OS in general. It comes on machines that are mostly 11.6 inches. So a Chromebook, if you buy one, it's generally a small machine. And I've found through my uses that a 14-inch laptop is probably the sweet spot as far as me using a machine on a daily basis. Now this machine here, you would think, is my third Chromebook, but it's actually my fourth Chromebook. But it will be the third Chromebook that I actually get to use. Because recently on eBay I bought the Lenovo version and I haven't gotten it yet. So technically I bought that before I bought this one. Now this new Chromebook, this HP model, is again a 14-inch screen, has a 14-inch screen, and it runs an Intel Celeron processor based on the Haswell chipset. So again, Haswell, if you're not familiar, is the latest version of the Intel processors, and its big claim to fame is that it offers great battery life. This is an LED backlit display, or has an LED backlit display. It also has 4 gigs of RAM like my Samsung version, and as my cat plays with my trusty cutter there, it has a 16 gigabyte solid state drive, which is actually fairly common on Chromebooks. That's the way the Samsung version was. I think the only diversion from that, there were a couple of models such as the Acer model, which actually had actual hard drives in them, and I think it went up to about 320 gigabytes. But I've never actually owned one of those before. Now this version, this model, comes in 3 colors, and 2 of them are a little bit crazy, a little bit too crazy for my liking. One is sort of an aqua color, and the other is sort of a salmon color. I know they have specific names for them, but I haven't seen them in person, but I have seen them on some videos and whatnot, and they're just a little bit too neon for my liking. So I went with this version, which is actually, I think they call it the Snow White version, which is white with silver innards, as you can see on the picture there. Now, the Intel Celeron processor in this machine is 1.4 gigahertz. Another thing worth mentioning is that with this model, you get 2 years of free mobile broadband. Now, that free mobile broadband, the fine print here, is 200 megabytes a month, and that's T-Mobile's 4G. So it's not a lot, but it does offer you free wireless if you get into a bind and you really need it. And this machine here cost $349. With tax, I think it ended up being about $372. And that's sort of the high end of what I would pay for a Chromebook. Because again, a Chromebook or a Chrome box, which are the desktop versions of a Chrome OS machine, have a limited operating system. But as I said, I'm going to try and live within this at least for a month, if not longer. Now, after HP pretty much ruined WebOS, I kind of wanted to stay away from HP products. But as it stands, this Chromebook seems to be the best one available because it does have that Haswell-based Celeron processor in it, and it is the only Chromebook out there that has a 14-inch screen. There was an earlier version of the HP that came in black, but it didn't offer the great battery life or the interesting design that this one does. Other than it being an HP machine, the only other drawback this machine has is that it has a glossy screen. And if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I really don't like glossy screens. But it's a compromise that I had to make to get this 14-inch Chromebook with the latest Haswell processor in it. So let me grab my trusty cutter and let me open this thing up, finally. And I think it opens from the top here. Now, I had a hard time finding this machine. I actually had to track it down at a Walmart. And this was the only Snow White version that they had. All the other ones were the either the mint or the aqua color or the salmon color. Again, this comes in 3 flavors, if you will. One day I'll sharpen this knife. It's very dull. Oop. All right. Let's see what we got in here. First thing, setup instructions. Well, I don't think I'm going to need that because a Chrome OS device is very easy to set up. You turn it on, sign into your Google account, and you're ready to go. On the side here, it looks like we have the power brick. Here's the T-Mobile SIM card. It's a full-size SIM that comes with it, and it looks like it's probably already installed in the machine. Let's see what else we have here. Here's more of the power cord here, and that's everything on that side. So let's get the main event out here. All right, we have some documentation here, some more documentation here, and information on activating the free 4G service. All right, here it is. So the laptop actually has a good weight to it here. And as you can see, it's the white model, and it has a flat finish. It's not shiny at all. So strangely enough, the only thing that's shiny on here is the screen and then of course the HP logo on the back here. You also have a Chrome logo in the upper left-hand corner. And it's sort of a rubberized finish. On the spine here, on the back, you have your Hewlett-Packard branding back here on the hinge. On the what would be the left of the computer here, you have your Kensington lock, you have an HDMI port, you have 2 USB ports here, and I think those are the high-speed USB ports, so it's probably USB 3.0. You have your headphone jack here. On the front of the machine, pretty much nothing. On the right side of the machine, you have your SIM card slot here, which is interesting. It's actually somewhat exposed here. There's no door or anything. It's just installed there. You have a regular, probably a USB 2.0 port here. You have an SD card reader, and then you have your power port here with a LED light next to it. On the bottom of the machine, you have your 4 rubberized feet. You have some venting here. And again, it's a matte, soft touch plastic down here. And I don't know if you can see this or notice this, but it has sort of a crosshatch pattern on it. This is actually a speaker here, and you have another speaker here, so you have stereo speakers on it. And as you can see, they're mounted sort of on that bevel there. So if you have it laying down on your desk or sitting down on your desk, it should bounce off of your desk and give you an amplified sound there. You have a couple of raised areas here in the center, and it looks like you have 8 screws, 9 screws, and they're just regular screws if you want to access this. So I guess this whole panel comes off, and then you can access the innards of it. Although I really haven't heard of anybody upgrading a Chromebook other than the RAM on it. I hear you can do the SSD, but it's kind of finicky. Over here you have your HP branding down there, and there's also a draw of vents back here in the hinge. So that's your airflow here. Vents here and vents here. So let's open this up. And generally when you open a Chrome OS device, it will boot right up. So let's see what happens here. Yep, no different. Very quick. So on the inside, everything's white except on the inside here. You have this, it's hard to tell if it's plastic or metal, but it definitely looks, I think it's probably plastic, but it has a metal aluminum look to it. You have a nice sized trackpad here and it's clickable. And it's only clickable at the bottom, not at the top here. Of course, it supports multi-touch gestures, so you can scroll between web pages and whatnot, or scroll up and down in a web page. You have some stickers here that I'll probably remove at least these two here. Another thing of note that you do get with this is that you get 100 gigabytes of free Google Drive space for 2 years, and that's pretty much standard for Chromebooks. Now this is a sticker of some sort that I'm going to have to get off of the screen, which is interesting that they would put a sticker on the screen like that. I hope I don't scratch it getting it off here. And this is activate your free T-Mobile service. Tells you how to do that. So let's see how far this screen goes back. So the screen, I like to sometimes push the screen back fairly far. You get some distance on this one, as you can see here. Not so bad. That's the screen itself. As you can see, it is glossy. I'm not a huge fan of glossy screens, but I didn't have any options here. Up top here you have a, I believe it's an HD webcam, and you have your LED light next to that, and then you have your mic up there. And then of course you have this little rubber strip here that when you close the device, it's not going to be scratching the bottom. And then of course you have your little HP branding down there. Now it has a regular Chrome OS keyboard, as you would expect, with all of your Chrome specific buttons up here, your back, your forward, your reload, all that stuff up here. And you have your power button here, so on and off there. Now the hinge is actually pretty tight on this. You do get a little bit of a wobble here. There you can see it wobbles a little bit at the closing point here because there's not a latch. It's not a business laptop. But it's not going to fly open on you because the hinge is nice and tight on the machine. Now the viewing angles you can see on here, there is some distortion when you get, not so much on the side, but the up and down view here. I'm not really one that cares too much about viewing angles because I generally just use a laptop. It's one-on-one. I don't really watch content on a laptop with another person, so you don't have to worry about viewing angles. But as I showed you, the side viewing angles are not so bad. As far as I'm concerned, the panel is definitely sufficient. Now you have your chiclet keyboard here, and everything seems pretty nice and firm. The keys themselves have sort of a texture to them, which is nice. So here are my two Chromebooks side by side. They're either the same thickness, or the HP might be just a hair, and I mean a hair, thicker. Of course, you can see the difference between a 12-inch Chromebook and a 14-inch Chromebook. It appears that the HP is definitely heavier. Not by a whole lot, but definitely heavier. And it has a more sturdy build quality than the Samsung version here. And just to be clear, this is not the ARM-based Samsung Chromebook. This is the Intel-based one, which I don't believe they sell anymore. So that's the HP Chromebook 14, model number 14Q029WM. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. If you like what you see, please subscribe. And as always, if you want to help out my channel, give me a thumbs up or favorite this video. So that's going to do it for this video. I'll see you guys next time.